In 1901, divers discovered a 2,000-year-old computer at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. It could predict eclipses, track planets, and calculate Olympic Games schedules. Ancient Greece wasn't supposed to have this technology for another 1,500 years. This is the story of the most mysterious artifact ever found. Imagine finding a laptop in a Viking burial mound, or a smartphone in an Egyptian tomb. That's essentially what happened when archaeologists discovered the Antikythera Mechanism. This bronze device, built around 100 BC, was so advanced that when scientists first X-rayed it, they thought it was a hoax. It contained gears, dials, and astronomical calculations that shouldn't have existed until the Renaissance. For over a century, researchers have been trying to figure out how the ancient Greeks built it, and more importantly, what else did they know that we've lost to history? Easter Sunday 1900, a team of Greek sponge divers was sailing home from North Africa when a storm forced them to take shelter near the tiny island of Antikythera between Crete and mainland Greece. One diver, Elias Stadiates, decided to scout the seafloor for sponges. At 140 feet deep, in the dim Mediterranean waters, he saw something that made him surface immediately, babbling about dead bodies and horses. The captain thought he had nitrogen narcosis, the bends. But when he dove down himself, he understood. It was a shipwreck. A massive ancient shipwreck filled with marble statues, bronze sculptures, and pottery. The bodies were life-sized bronze and marble statues lying on the seafloor. This wasn't just any wreck. It was a treasure ship. The Greek government was notified. For the next year, divers worked in dangerous conditions to recover the cargo. They brought up spectacular statues, jewelry, coins, and pottery. The ship dated to around 67 BC and was likely carrying luxury goods from the Greek islands to Rome. Among the treasures was something less impressive, a corroded lump of bronze and wood crusted with 2,000 years of sediment. It sat in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, ignored for months. No one paid attention to it. Why would they? They had magnificent bronze statues and marble sculptures to study. But then, in May 1902, archaeologist Valerio Stais noticed something. The lump had cracked open as it dried, and inside he could see gears, precise, intricate gears. At first, no one believed him. Ancient Greeks didn't make geared mechanisms. That technology came much later in medieval Europe. The conventional wisdom was that this must be a more recent object that accidentally got mixed in with the ancient cargo, maybe an 18th century astrolabe that fell into the wreck site. But the pottery shards fused to the device were definitely ancient, and the bronze corrosion matched the other artifacts. Somehow, impossibly, this 2,000-year-old geared computer was real. For decades, the Antikythera Mechanism sat in the museum, studied occasionally but never fully understood. It was too corroded, too fragmented. Scientists could see that it had gears, but they couldn't figure out what it did. In the 1950s, a British science historian named Derek DeSella Price became obsessed with it. He spent years studying the fragments, making drawings, trying to understand the gear ratios. In 1959, he published a paper that shocked the academic world. Based on his analysis, he claimed the device was an astronomical calculator, a machine that could predict the positions of the sun, moon, and planets. Most scholars dismissed him. The idea was too radical. Ancient Greeks simply didn't have that kind of technology. But Price was right, and the truth was even more incredible than he imagined. In 2005, a team of international researchers brought cutting-edge technology to Athens, a custom-built 3D X-ray scanner that could see inside the corroded bronze without damaging it. What they discovered was breathtaking. The Antikythera Mechanism wasn't just a simple gear system. It contained at least 30 bronze gears, possibly more. The teeth on the gears were hand-cut with extraordinary precision. The device had multiple dials and pointers that could display different astronomical information simultaneously. And here's the mind-blowing part. Hidden inside the gears were tiny inscriptions, an instruction manual carved in letters less than 2 millimeters tall. The text confirmed what the gear suggested. This was an astronomical computer unlike anything that would exist again for over 1,000 years. The Antikythera Mechanism could track the solar calendar. It displayed the 365-day Egyptian calendar and could account for the extra quarter day each year. Predict lunar phases. With stunning accuracy, it showed when the moon would be full, new, or in any phase. Calculate eclipses. The device had a special dial that predicted solar and lunar eclipses years in advance. It even calculated the color and magnitude of each eclipse. Track the planets. The mechanism could show the positions of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn as they moved through the zodiac. Predict the Olympic Games. One dial showed the 4-year cycle of the ancient Olympic Games and other Pan-Olympic festivals. Account for irregular motion. Here's where it gets really sophisticated.
The ancient Greeks knew that the moon doesn't move at a constant speed, it speeds up and slows down. The Antikythera Mechanism had a special gear system that replicated this irregular motion with mechanical precision. This wasn't just a calculator, it was a planetarium, a cosmic clock, a device that encoded the entire known universe in bronze gears. To understand how revolutionary this was, consider this. The Antikythera Mechanism was built around 100 BC. The next time we see geared astronomical computers of comparable complexity is in medieval Islamic and European clockwork, around 1400 AD. That's a 1500-year gap. It's as if someone discovered a working jet engine in Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks. The technology existed, briefly, then vanished completely from human knowledge for over a millennium. We don't know for certain, but researchers have theories. The leading candidate is the school of Archimedes, the famous Greek mathematician and inventor. Archimedes lived in Syracuse, Sicily, and was known for building mechanical devices, though none of his machines survived. Ancient Roman writers mention that Archimedes built spheres that showed the motions of the heavens. Could the Antikythera Mechanism be one of these spheres, or was it built by his students after his death? The inscriptions on the device mention months that were used in Corinth and its colonies, suggesting it may have been built in northwest Greece or Sicily. But we may never know the exact workshop or craftsman. The ship that carried it was heading from Greece to Rome, probably around 67 BC. Rome was conquering Greece at the time, and wealthy Romans loved collecting Greek art, philosophy, and science. The ship was likely carrying luxury goods, statues, jewelry, and perhaps this astronomical device to a rich Roman patron. Some historians speculate it might have been a gift for Julius Caesar, who was known to be interested in astronomy and had reformed the Roman calendar around this time. But the ship never made it. It sank off Antikythera, and the mechanism was lost for 2,000 years. This is the biggest mystery of all. If the ancient Greeks could build something this sophisticated, why didn't the technology spread? Why didn't every astronomer, every wealthy patron, every king want one? Several theories. Theory 1, it was too expensive. The Antikythera Mechanism required extraordinary skill to build. The gears had to be hand-cut with extreme precision. The bronze had to be perfectly cast. Only the wealthiest patrons could afford such a device, and there may have been only a handful of craftsmen who knew how to make them. Theory 2, knowledge was lost. The Roman conquest of Greece, the burning of the Library of Alexandria, and centuries of warfare may have destroyed the texts and workshops where this knowledge was preserved. If only a few people knew how to build these mechanisms, their death could erase the technology entirely. Theory 3, practical limitations. The device was brilliant but fragile. Bronze gears corrode, mechanisms break. Without modern metallurgy and manufacturing, it may have been impossible to maintain these machines over generations. Simpler astronomical tables and mathematical calculations might have been more practical. Theory 4, we just haven't found the others. Bronze was valuable and often melted down and reused. Hundreds of ancient mechanisms might have existed, but they were all recycled for their metal. The Antikythera Mechanism only survived because it sank to the bottom of the sea before anyone could melt it down. If the ancient Greeks could build this, what else could they do that we don't know about? The Antikythera Mechanism proves that our assumptions about ancient technology are often wrong. We tend to think of technological progress as linear. Each generation builds on the last, always moving forward. But history isn't linear. Knowledge can be lost. Entire civilizations can forget how to do things their ancestors knew. The Romans built concrete that lasted 2,000 years, stronger than what we make today. We only recently figured out their formula. The Baghdad battery suggests ancient peoples may have experimented with electricity. And now we know the Greeks built computers. What else is buried beneath the ocean, or lost in forgotten texts, or sitting in museum storage labeled unknown object? The Antikythera Mechanism forces us to rethink everything we thought we knew about ancient technology. For decades, we believed the ancient world was primitive, that sophisticated machines didn't exist until the Industrial Revolution. The Greeks were philosophers and artists, we thought, not engineers. We were wrong. The ancient Greeks weren't just theorizing about the cosmos, they were building machines to model it. They understood gear ratios, epicyclical motion, and astronomical cycles with breathtaking precision. And they did it all by hand, without electricity, without modern tools, without computers to calculate the math. Today, the surviving fragments of the Antikythera Mechanism are displayed in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. Researchers continue to study it, using ever more advanced technology to reveal new details. In 2021, scientists announced they had finally reconstructed the front display, the part of the device that showed the cosmos. It was even more complex than anyone imagined, with a sophisticated system of nested cylinders and pointers. We still don't have a complete reconstruction. Some gears are missing, some functions remain mysterious. But every year we get closer to understanding this 2,000-year-old computer. The Antikythera Mechanism is more than just an impressive ancient gadget. It's a reminder that history is full of surprises. It tells us that human ingenuity isn't a modern invention. People 2,000 years ago were just as smart, just as creative, just as capable of brilliance as we are today. It reminds us to question our assumptions. How much knowledge have we lost? What other technologies existed that we don't know about? And it's a warning about fragility. An entire tradition of mechanical astronomy existed in the ancient world. It produced at least one masterpiece, maybe more, and then it vanished. Knowledge is fragile, civilization is fragile. The line between progress and loss is thinner than we think. The Antikythera Mechanism survived by accident, a shipwreck that preserved it when the rest of its kind were melted down and lost forever. What will survive from our era? What will people 2,000 years from now think we were capable of? What will they assume we didn't know because all the evidence disappeared? The ancient Greeks built a computer, and for 2,000 years we forgot. What else have we forgotten? If this story blew your mind, subscribe to Buried Histories. We're uncovering the forgotten, the mysterious, and the impossible from history every week. Drop a comment. What lost ancient technology would you most want to rediscover? And if you want more impossible artifacts, check out our playlist on ancient mysteries. Don't let history stay buried.